Vaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskrutyam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devi Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirait Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Muttama Shloke Bhaktirabhavati Nashtaki Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. So we're reading Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 29th chapter, titled as Explanation of Devotional Service by Kapiladev to Mata Devhuti. We are reading text number 35. In the previous shloka, yesterday we learned how Kapiladev is explaining there are different types of living entities with different level of consciousness. And among all the living entities, human has a higher form of consciousness. And among the humans, there are different varieties of human beings. Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudras. Brahmana is supposed to have a higher consciousness because they have knowledge about the Vedas. And among those also, Vaishnava, who try to see the Paramatma within the heart of every living entity, is the highest. And such a Vaishnava, what does he do with that consciousness? Then he has no other interest other than interest of serving Krishna. So as we learned yesterday, Lord Krishna says, therefore, I do not find a greater person than he who has no interest outside of me and who therefore engages and dedicates all his activities and life and everything unto me without cessation. So, Samadarshanath. You remember that? Yeah. And then Lord Krishna, Kapiladev further says to Mata Devhuti, such a perfect devotee offered respects to all the living entities because he is under firm conviction that Paramatma is there within the heart of each and every living entity as a supersolar controller, right? So now further, Kapiladev is explaining about this science of devotional service. What is the benefit of this devotional service? Lord Krishna Kapiladev says to Mata, Bhakti yogascha yogascha
Bhakti yogascha yogascha
Maya manavi udarita Yayor ekatare neva Purushaha purusham vrajet. Translation. You can read the translation.
My dear mother, O daughter of Manu, a devotee who applied the science of devotional service and mystic yoga in this way can achieve the abode of the Supreme Person simply by that devotional service.
So here Kapiladev is addressing his mother as a daughter of Manu, daughter of Swayambhuva Manu, who was married to Kardama Muni. So here he says that devotee who applies the science of devotional service and mystic yoga for the service of Krishna, he can achieve the abode of anything we do in our life. Everything has to be applied for service of Krishna. Then we can, that is called devotional service, and we can apply it for so that we can achieve the abode of Lord Krishna. And we learned about this yesterday, but we'll briefly revise. Here in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kapiladev perfectly explains that mystic yoga system consisting of 8 different kinds of yoga activities. And what are those? Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. Ashtanga yoga has to be performed with the aim of coming to the stage of, perfectional stage of Bhakti yoga. So when you do Yama, Niyama, Asana is physical exercise, Pranayam, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi, all those things, Pratyahara. So everything is for coming to the stage of Krishna consciousness. It is not acceptable for one to be satisfied simply by practicing sitting postures and thinking oneself complete. So just you do yogasana does not mean you have become a yogi. That is the purpose. By meditation, one must attain the stage of devotional service. So then meditation is dharana, dhyana, samadhi. That samadhi has to be on Krishna. Dharana, dhyana has to be on Krishna. As previously described, a yogi is advised to meditate on the form of Lord Vishnu, from the point to point. So, how do you meditate? So, you start the meditation from ankles to legs. When you see the Krishna's deity, then legs to knees, knees to thighs, thighs to chest, then neck, then gradually to the face, and then ornaments like that. So that is the meditation. Meditation means meditating upon the supreme form of Krishna. When by meditation on the Supreme Personality of Godhead in all detail, one comes to the point of love of God. That is the point of Bhakti Yoga. And at that point, he must actually surrender to the Lord out of transcendental love. Right? So, meditation, what is the purpose of meditation? That you fall in love with Krishna. And when you fall in love with Krishna, then render service out of love. Bhakti means service with love. Anyone who practices yoga and comes to the point of devotional service can attain the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his transcendental abode. So once we start lovingly serving Krishna, then we can go to Krishna Loka. So our aim is we want to go to Krishna. Here it is clearly stated, Purushaha Purusham Rajet. What does that mean? Purusha means living entity. Going to Supreme Person. The Supreme Personality of Godhead and the living entity are
Qualitative.
qualitatively one, but both are defined as Purusha. So we are also Purusha and Krishna is Purusha, but we are tiny many. Krishna is the ultimate enjoyer. The quality of Purusha exists both in the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the living entities. Purusha means enjoyer, but we are tiny miny. We are enjoyed by Krishna. And the spirit of enjoyment is present in both in the living entity and in the Supreme Lord. There's a verse called as which describes the nature of the soul. It is called as Sat Chit and Ananda, Sat Chitananda Maya, Krishna. So Krishna is Sat Chit and Ananda. So Krishna is the form, emblem of Sat Chit and Ananda. Atma is also Sat Chit and Ananda. Ananda is Sat means eternal, Chit means knowledgeable, Ananda means pleasure. Krishna also has the same form, Sat Chit and Ananda form. But our form is covered by the gross elements, material elements. So that's why it's covered now. We are not able to. So Krishna consciousness is removing that barrier and exposing that Satchitananda roop of the Atma. The living entity cannot experience the same quantity of enjoyment, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. An analogy may be made with a rich man and a poor man. Okay, both want to enjoy, but rich man has more money, so he has different type of enjoyment. But poor man cannot enjoy the same quantity of enjoyment, right? Like a poor rich man can have his own aircraft. Poor man cannot afford that. But both want to enjoy. So poor man will enjoy maybe he will eat some palatable food or something like that. When the poor man dovetails his desire with those of rich man, however, and when there is a cooperation between the poor and the rich, or between the big and the small, then the enjoyment is shared equally. That is true. If a rich man wants a poor man to come with him on the flight, he can enjoy the same flight. So when Krishna wants us to enjoy with him, Krishna will take us. Then we can enjoy with Krishna, but not in the separately. That is like Bhakti Yoga. Purushaha Purusham Rajet. When the living entity enters into kingdom of God and cooperates, this is very important. We have to cooperate with Krishna. See, if you really want to enjoy, what is the best choice? Be with Krishna. Krishna is supreme enjoyer. Now, if you are with the supreme enjoyer, you will get happiness. Why you want to try separately? No need of separate plan, because he has bigger plan. So, when the living entity enters into the kingdom of God and cooperates with the Supreme Lord by giving him the enjoyment, he enjoys the same facility or same amount of pleasure as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So if we serve Krishna with our heart and soul, Krishna will give us the same pleasure. On the other hand, when the living entity wants to enjoy by imitating Supreme Personality of Godhead, his desire called Maya, and it puts him in the material atmosphere. You see, Srila Prabhupada served Lord Krishna so much, and how much pleasure Srila Prabhupada would have got. Can you imagine the amount of pleasure he might be getting by building huge temples, by having thousands and millions of devotees and distributing millions of books? Can you compare the pleasure? That pleasure is Krishna's pleasure. You see, and that might be even a small fraction of Krishna's pleasure. But how much pleasure Srila Prabhupada might be getting when he's seeing all the Americans and Africans and all the people from Russians becoming devotees? Can you imagine his pleasure? Still, wherever Prabhupada might be watching, he might be having so much pleasure. Mayapur Dham. Can you go imagine Prabhupada entering Mayapur and seeing the big TOP temple? How much pleasure he will get? You just can't. We can't even think about it. We even small house if we build, how much pleasure we get. Imagine Prabhupada building Vrindavan temple, Mayapur temple, and billions of temple across the globe. How much pleasure? There is no comparison. Even my Guru Maharaj, when he used to come to America, thousands of devotees falling into his feet. Thousands of devotees. Now, can you imagine the pleasure? That is uncomparable. Nobody can get that pleasure by buying with the money. Is that right? So that is Krishna's pleasure. We can't even understand the amount of pleasure. And if you really want a pleasure, I think that is the ultimate pleasure. There is nothing higher than that. Right? But if you try separate plan, then you're not going to get anything out of it. Anything separate from Krishna, there is no pleasure. Is suffering more. That is what Srila Prabhupada is saying. A living entity who wants to enjoy in his personal account and not cooperate with Supreme Lord is engaged in. See how much pleasure you can get out of pizza. How much? It's just a tiny fraction of second, and that's it, finished. Some people say they have a sexual pleasure, this pleasure, that pleasure. How much? It's like fraction of second. Imagine Srila Prabhupada's pleasure. Unlimited, everlasting. You see, Krishna conscious pleasure, what Srila Prabhupada get, you cannot finish it all. It's unlimited. Right? So that is what. As soon as he details the enjoyment of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is engaged in spiritual life. An example may be cited here. The different limbs of body cannot enjoy independently. They must cooperate with the whole body and supply the food to the stomach. If hand says, I want to eat the food, can hand enjoy it? It has to put it in the stomach. That philosophy is called as Achinta Bheda Ved. We talked about it yesterday. Simultaneously one but different. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy. The living entity cannot enjoy the life in opposition to Supreme Lord. He has to dovetail his activities with the Lord by practicing Bhakti Yoga. It is said here that one can approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead by either yoga process or by Bhakti Yoga. So you can do Ashtanga Yoga, Yama Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi, or you can do directly Bhakti Yoga. This indicates that factually there is no difference between yoga and Bhakti Yoga because the target of both is Lord Vishnu, Sir Krishna. In the modern age, however, a yoga process has been manufactured which aims at something void and impersonal. So, that is called as Mayavad. Mayavad means removing Krishna from that. If a yoga practice is actually performed according to the standard direction, there is no difference between yoga and bhakti yoga. So any type of yoga is aimed at Krishna consciousness. Because Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi, Hatha Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, then Ashtanga Yoga, Karma Yoga, Sankhya Yoga, Jnana Yoga. All the yogas ultimately has to terminate into Krishna Bhakti. That is the aim.
But I had a question.
Mhm.
So the yoga, it states that it's also like a path to reach bhakti yoga,
Mhm.
but then it's not a Krishna bhakti, no. It can be a Shiv bhakti, it can be a
Well,
demigod's bhakti.
bhakti is always word used for Krishna or Vishnu Tattva. Bhakti means love. Love is always for Krishna, and all other are called as rituals or worships. Like you can worship a guru,
Okay.
but prema is for Krishna. It's like that. Bhakti means prema. So prema is always for
If a
Supreme.
person is doing a yoga, I
Hmm.
mean like a hatha yoga or
Hmm.
some dhyana,
Hmm.
intentionally, imagine like he has a goal of Shiva and then he's performing that. So how it be?
Well, when we are worship even Lord Shiva, gopis used to worship Lord Shiva, but their aim was worshipping Shiva. Gopis' aim was that they wanted Krishna, right? So even Lord Shiva is very happy when we are worshipping him and saying that, hey, Shivji, give me a blessing so that I can serve Krishna or Lord Ramachandra in a much better way. So as long as our aim is to serve Supreme Lord, Shivji is very happy uh, in in his worship. But if you worship Shiva by standalone, then Shivji is not as satisfied because Shivji himself is also worshipping Lord Vishnu. When Parvati Mata asked Shivji that what are you meditating upon, he says Rama Rama Rameti Rame Rame Manogame. I'm worshipping on Lord Rama. I'm meditating on Lord Rama. So Shivji, when he is worshipping his worshipable Lord, he also wants us to worship him. So, ठीक है, श्री प्रभुपाद की